Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, as I mentioned earlier, another top highlight from Monday's show. And it was a match that we were never supposed to get. So Drew was on the show. He's obviously a SmackDown superstar. And I don't like the fact that he was on the show. I hope going forward they pay more attention to the fact that, the brand split, they take it more seriously. I don't know what Triple H's thoughts on the brand split are. Coming out of the draft, we may not even have a brand split anymore. I think we will, if there's even talk of a draft happening, and he's bringing back more talent. You would think if they're getting rid of the brand split, they would get rid of talent that would get lost in the shuffle if the brand split was done away with. And we've seen a very soft split of the rosters in recent years because Vince just clearly wouldn't give a fuck. But it sounds like between Karrion Kross being brought back and the women and these tag teams and Dexter and people like that we are getting the brand split back. I would split the top 2 titles. I've said that before. I know RJ agrees. I wouldn't necessarily split the tag team titles. Those divisions still need a lot of work. But I do think they'll head towards a full-on split of the titles and the brands. And the only reason, a few reasons. They tried to explain that Drew was on the show because if he beats Roman, then he will be on the show as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The thing is, he's not currently the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. I know he's challenging for said title at Clash of the Castle, but he's not currently the champion, so technically he should not be allowed to be on both brands. And not only that, but he's going to be on SmackDown tomorrow, facing off with Roman Reigns. Because we never really got that face-off between the two on SmackDown before Karrion Kross came back 2 weeks ago. So I did not think that Drew being on Raw was necessary. He may have already been scheduled for the show because I know they made these, lineups for, who's going to be on each show and whatever a while ago. For example, if you look at the upcoming shows on WWE.com for a Raw or a SmackDown, you'll see in the dark match after Raw or SmackDown goes off the air, you'll probably see a Raw Superstar in a SmackDown dark match or a SmackDown Superstar in a Raw dark match. They do that on purpose because they want the star power on those shows and for people to buy tickets. So Drew may have already been scheduled to be there. Did he have to be on the show? No, but they figured out something for them to do that made sense with Drew McIntyre, that left me looking forward to a rematch. That being with him and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens we have not really seen on Raw in quite a while. He came back last week, laid out Ezekiel. We saw the picture of Ezekiel's family in Raw this week, as dumb as that was. I thought it was funny. Do not need to see any further interaction between Ezekiel and Elias and Kevin Owens. That should be over. But he came out mentioning the fact, which a lot of people have brought up lately, that Kevin Owens has not been a champion in WWE in 5 full years since he was last United States champion in the summer of 2017. That is wild. For a man, when he first came into the company, could not stop holding gold. He was NXT champion within 2 months of arriving in NXT. Within a matter of months of arriving on the main roster, he was Intercontinental Champion. He lost that. Won back the Intercontinental Championship in early 2016. Lost that. By the summer of 2016, he was Universal Champion. When he lost that, he was United States Champion by WrestleMania. Lost it, got it back, lost it, got it back. He was a 3-time United States Champion in 2017. He has not been a champion since. That to me is criminal. Holding a title is not everything, but for a guy of Kevin Owens' caliber, he really should have been a champion again after that. And a world champion at that. The guy is a tremendous talent. This is the Kevin Owens he alluded to here, that he referred to here as the prize fighter that we first saw in NXT years ago. That's the Kevin Owens I want to see going forward. That's the Kevin Owens I want to see featured in the main event scene on Raw or SmackDown. And I get the feeling that we're probably going to see that again very, very soon, based off the promo he cut here and the response we got from Drew. They left me looking forward to a Drew and Kevin Owens rematch. The match was great, but the promos that preceded it were even better. And it felt like it really confirmed the reports from about a week or two ago that the talent are getting more leeway for their promos. I'm sure they're still scripted to an extent, and I'm not even saying do away entirely with scripted promos. There are people who need the help. But people like Drew and Kevin who have been doing this for a long time really do not need word for word promos written for them. Just bullet points would work. And we got that on Monday's Raw. You can feel the passion. You can sense the intensity between both men. Drew went off on Kevin Owens about being a former WWE champion. He's carried this company for a few years now. Drew McIntyre mentioned the reports of his back being hurt, which apparently are a shoe. He didn't shit on him. He didn't deny the reports. it sounded like they are accurate that he might be dealing with a back injury right now, and he's working through it. That's why he didn't work the house shows last weekend. They want to save him. They want to make sure he's 100% or close to 100% as possible come Clash of the Castle. But he told Kevin Owens, listen, I've beaten Brock Lesnar, I've beaten Randy Orton, I've beaten Goldberg, I've beat them all. And don't ever tell me that, I was once the chosen one, I got fired, I had to bust my ass to get back here. Don't ever tell me that what I'm saying is not true about me being the man who has carried this company for 3 years now. And there was a lot of truth to what Drew said. I thought both guys made a lot of great points. And even Kevin Owens mentioned how he and Sami in that same building 6 years ago had their amazing Battleground match back in 2016, which I thought was also very cool. And the match that followed, as they mentioned, was very, very good. These guys have had TV matches before on Raw and on SmackDown, and they've all been very good. I want to see at some point a full-fledged Drew and Kevin Owens feud. And it may very well be over the championship. There is a very good chance that Drew will ultimately be the one to take that undisputed WWE Universal Championship from Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. And if he does, one of his first few challengers could be Kevin Owens. It could be Karrion Kross. That's also a very likely possibility. Kevin Owens probably wouldn't win, but at some point, if and when they do split up the championships, Kevin Owens deserves another run with a top title in WWE. Not only just a mid-card title or a secondary title, the guy should be a world champion again. If only due to the fact that, yes, there are people who never win world championships in WWE. Kevin Owens was a world champion, and not for 5 minutes. He was a champion for 6 or 7 months. He was a champion almost exactly, I don't think it was this coming Monday, but the following Monday. Because 6 years from this weekend would have been SummerSlam 2016 weekend. I remember because I was there. Like literally exactly 6 years from tomorrow, I left for New York for SummerSlam weekend, had a great time. Not that Monday, that was when Finn Balor dropped the title, but the following Monday was when he won that Universal Championship. And he was champion all the way through March of 2017 when he lost it to Goldberg in like 30 seconds or whatever at Fastlane. The way he lost it was bullshit. The way he won it was great. Everything in between, it's not like he had this great run that ended on a sour note. It ended on a sour note with Goldberg beating him the way that he did. But the reign itself was very underwhelming, and it had nothing to do with Kevin Owens himself. It was not Kevin's fault. He was booked to look like the Authority's lapdog the entire time. He was not booked to look strong. He lost a lot of matches on TV to Seth Rollins, to Roman Reigns, to this guy, to that guy. He was not booked to look strong at all. He was basically just a paper champion for as long as he was champion up until he lost it to Goldberg. And again, that's not Kevin's fault. He had a lot of great moments as champion. The Jericho stuff was great. The Festival of Friendship execution was perfect. He got serious at the very end, and then he dropped the belt like 3 weeks later. So he deserves another run at the top, whether it be on Raw or on SmackDown. That was the top takeaway of this segment for me. I'm just kind of convinced at this point Drew is leaving Clash of the Castle as the top champion. And maybe we will get Drew and Kevin Owens coming out of it. Maybe at Extreme Rules. I heard Roman Reigns was not scheduled for that show. What a shock. But maybe we get Drew and Kevin on that show. Whenever we do get it, I don't assume Kevin Owens will win the championship from Drew a month or two later. Whoever beats Roman should probably have a pretty hefty reign with that championship. But that being said, Kevin Owens at some point, whether it be later this year, early next year, with the title or one of the two titles, he should and deserves another run as a world champion in this company. The man is too good to not be featured at that level more consistently.